Hi, this is Sam here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe, the weekend edition for Sunday, the 5th of October. Starting off with the FTSE 100, and here you can see that it's up, and away in the recent past. We've got the black rising trend channel there from back in June. That was heading for 95.50, which we were looking for by the end of this month. Obviously, at the moment, it looks like we might get there a bit earlier. And then I added in the May resistance line projection, steeper line there heading for 97.50, which I suppose is now the best case scenario target for this market, especially while we remain above the the initial October resistance and recent support around the 94.20 area or just above it. So as long as we're above that, looking for 95.50 as a minimum, 97.50 as a best case scenario by the end of this month. Moving along to the DAX, which had a rather dull month for September, but so far has livened up for the start of October, which I suppose is counterintuitive given that October is supposed to be a scary month for the markets. Here you can see that we gapped higher on Thursday and we held that gap. We got the top of the channel there, 25,700. That's what we're looking for. As soon as the end of this month, while we remain above the 50-day line and above 24,000, just around the the 50-day line just under 24,000 and the 24,000 area. The Dow is next, and here also the shutdown issue is one that's dominating the picture at the moment. Obviously, we're looking for, or some people were looking for a bit of a pullback, but actually so far actually accelerated to the upside. Recent support around 46,000 and leaves us relatively close to the top of that rising trend channel from May last year, as high as 47,900, which is our end of October target while we're above 46,000. If there is a rug pull, then the worst level probably at this stage would be the 50-day line, as we saw back at the beginning of August. That's around 45,300, and so therefore, hopefully, if you are looking for support, that's the area that you might find it either on an end-of-day close basis or intraday. The cryptos are next, and celebration mode at the moment with the market rebounding. You can see that the high intraday, I think up to 125,600. We've been looking for up to, the top of the channel there, up to 132,000 by the end of this month. And that looks like it's very much back on the agenda now. Managed to clear that 118, troublesome 118 area quite easily at the beginning of the week. And also broke an RSI resistance line there at 57. So moment above 118, look very much looking for 132 by the end of this month. After that, we can maybe pencil in a higher target. Just how high that might be is probably suggested by the line I'm drawing at the moment, but let's get to that once we've crossed 132, if indeed we do that. Moving along to Ethereum, which has to be said has been disappointing. You can see that it's probably still disappointing in the sense that we were hopefully by now we would have thought it would be on the right side of 5,000. Obviously, it isn't. Top of the channel though, there at 5,300. And that's what we're looking for by the end of this month, while we remain above the 50-day moving average at 43.91. Just broken that RSI resistance line, so that might give this market a bit of a boost, as well, obviously, the read across from Bitcoin. But as I said, this is probably a market that's $500 too cheap given where Bitcoin is at the moment. Moving along to gold, which did what we wanted it to do and did it ahead of schedule. Still doing rather well at the top of that rising trend channel from April, 38.60, the nominal area there. We've got the next target up to 41.60, which we're looking for by the end of next month, while we remain on the right side of recent support, recent October support, around 3,800. So up 38, looking for up to 41.60. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with Active Energy, and here looks like we're starting to recover with some decent news as well from the company. The RSI pushing above neutral 50 for the first time since basically the beginning of July, which is obviously always significant. The other point to look at is the way that we have resistance, and we've actually tested resistance at the bottom of the gap there from last month around current levels. And as little as an end of day close above 0.11, we should be looking at the 200-day line 0.22 over the next maybe couple of weeks, maybe by the end of this month, and then by the end of next month, looking for the top of that falling trend channel as high as 0.32 for the shares. If you're cautious, you'll probably be waiting for the end of day close above the bottom of the gap, and maybe also the 50-day line at 0.12. Moving along to Artemis, and here we got our end of day close through 0.4 pence, as if the market was listening to this broadcast. 3 or 4 RSI 50 plus, well, 3 or 4 RSI 50 rebounds in the recent past. We're a rising 50-day line, so looking for 0.6 as soon as the end of this month, especially while we're above the 200-day line there at 0.36. On to Audioboom, which had a very decent week and obviously a very decent day on Friday with the bid story, M&A stories. We'll be looking for that red resistance line now for 765 by the end of this month. Obviously, the shares getting there ahead of schedule. Difficult to see what the target above 765 may be, or that 760 area, but it could be the line I'm drawing at the moment. If everything goes well, then we could be looking at a target up towards the 11 to 12 pound zone, maybe as a best case scenario target if the whole bid thing actually develops. In terms of the downside, I don't want to see the shares back below that 560 resistance area that was the pre-breakout rally area. The start of the rally here was actually flagged by that double RSI 50 plus rebound at the beginning of last month. That was around the £4.30 area. And since then, we've had 3 RSI 50 plus rebounds, including obviously the latest one. But let's see if the shares do get up to the £12 level, which I think ties in with some broker targets as well on Audioboom. On to Avacta, which obeyed the charting rules perfectly during the week. The only thing we haven't done is hit the top of that rising trend channel from May as high as 75 pence, which hopefully we'll do Monday, Tuesday this week. Upside value while we're above the recent broken resistance from last month at 64 pence on an end of day close basis. Bezant has done fantastically well in the recent past, and it's even hit our red target line there, 0.07. Well, just over that, in fact, and but now leaves us looking for the next leg up to as high as 0.12, while we're above the 007 area. And to Coinsilium, which was actually helped ahead of the record level on Bitcoin over the weekend. Here you can see that we were up 10% on Friday, also back above the RSI 50 level and nudging the 50-day moving average. So looking for the shares to at least get up to 6.5, maybe even 7 pence, which is the 200-day moving average level, even if there is, that's the best they can do. But obviously 7 or 7.5 is a good upside from where we are at the moment, below 5 pence. On to Ceres Power, which I don't normally look at, but couldn't resist it this week. And here you can see that we've hit our first target there around 176 above that. Looking for the upper parallel of that rising trend channel base from February, as high as £2.57 by the end of next month. Not sure what would do that, but obviously chart looking rather good at the moment. Sometimes you don't want to look at a stock and then you realize that because you're not looking at it, it's probably going to go up. And that is sort of the situation with GSTechnologies. Here, see that we're just nudging the 50-day line after a few weeks. Also, we pushed above RSI 50, so maybe enough there to convince some people that while we're above the 50-day line, we could head up to the top of that falling trend channel at 1.25 pence by the end of next month. I suppose the best thing here is to wait for a proper end of day close above that 50-day line, 0.78 plus. Onto a stock which I'd previously never heard of, which is quite an achievement given that I look at the market consistently, very earnestly every day. Here we've hit the first target for imaging biometrics at 1.22 pence above that, looking for the next leg up as high as 1.8 pence, and obviously that's 2025 resistance. Maybe as soon as the end of next month, if we can stay above that 200-day moving average at 0.97. Microsalt is next, and here a good update from the company in the sense that I think losses were narrowed, and maybe we're waiting for a fresh contract from the company, but we managed to gap through the 200-day line after very strong candles on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In fact, the whole of the week was very, very strong. suggests that we could get up to as high as £1 by the end of next month, which is basically 1 year resistance for the shares, while we're above the 200-day line at 65 pence. Oracle Power is next, and here you can see the shares have had something of a party over the course of the last week or two. Great developments with the Northern Zone project. What we want to see now is clearance of the 0.06 area, which just shy of that on Friday, to give us the possibility of a retest of 0.9 by the end of this month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 0.05 now, given that there's been consolidation in this area. On to Tiger, and here, obviously, the dust has rather settled on the big rally that the shares had, but as you can see, there has been a little trendline breakout through 0.9 pence, and above that, got the chance maybe of a move up to 1.3, 1.4 pence as a best case scenario target by the end of this month, if the crypto revival manages to trickle down to other areas. Moving on to Wildcat Petroleum, where it was interesting that on Thursday there was a bit of a dip back below the 200-day line, and presumably that was market makers getting caught out by the move. But on Friday we bounced back very well, and the break of the 200-day line at 0.09 suggests once again we're looking for the top of that triangle and 1-year resistance as high as 0.24 by the end of this month, and hopefully by the end of this week. The other point to note is the way that we've got bullish divergence in the RSI window, so lower lows for September, but a higher RSI trace. Finishing off with WeCap, which is looking rather good at the moment, it has to be said. The recovery since June pretty steady, and what we've also seen is that new support coming in has come in above old resistance, which is what you tend to see in the strongest of situations. We're looking for the recent resistance around 2.75 pence to be broken imminently, and if we can see that, then the next level up, maybe as soon as the end of this month, would be up to 4 pence for WeCap. The other point to note is the way that the RSI has been wholly above the neutral 50 level since the beginning of July, which is also very strong in terms of being a leading indicator. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.